Okay, so for this one, we're going to talk about how graphs can tell stories. So for this one, you have to actually see me because I'm going to talk with my hands. Anyway, so if we look at the screen, we see three pictures about a fireworks night. So what's happening here is that slowly we see that the light is becoming brighter. So what you can see is that this graph is sloping upwards. So if it looks like if you were climbing up it, you would be climbing up a hill, that means that we have a positive gradient, okay? And that means that something is increasing. So in this case, the brightness is increasing. And it's increasing fairly slowly, right? It's not a really quick time. Now, if we look here, we get to a point where the graph is straight across, right? And that means that nothing is changing in terms of the brightness. So once it kind of explodes, nothing really changes, okay? And then at a certain point, the lights from the firework are going to die down. And if it looks like you could ski down it, so if you were a little skier man and you were skiing down it, that means that we have a downward slope, okay? And that means that things are settling down, all right? So we can translate each graph into a story. So if we look here, we have a little dripping faucet. And this dripping faucet is slowly increasing the amount of water that's in this jug, okay? So if we look at this first graph, this graph is pointing downwards. So it looks like if I put a little skiing man on it, he would ski right down, right? He wouldn't be climbing up. But if we look at the amount of water in the jug, the amount of water is increasing. So this immediately tells us that that's not going to be our right answer, okay? And that's because it's going the wrong direction. We're decreasing in depth and we want to be increasing. Now, if we look at B, this one at least is pointing the right way. So this is looking positive, okay? So if we put a little man on there, he would be climbing up that slope, which means that it's increasing, all right? Which is what we want, because the amount of water in that jug is increasing. So this is definitely a possibility, but we're going to look at the rest of them too. C has a line that is completely flat. That means that nothing is changing. So that would be if I had a jug and I'd already filled it up with water, and then I didn't put any more water in it, that would be graph C. And then if we look at D, D's saying, okay, so I started filling things up really quickly, and that's kind of this curved part, and then things just kind of plateaued. So maybe the faucet was leaking for a little bit, and then you noticed and you turned it off, so there wasn't any more water coming in. Okay? But in this case, really there are two options, are B and D. And in this case, B is going to be our best option because we have water coming in at a constant pace. That means that it's not changing. We don't know that the tap's been turned off and nothing else is coming in. So we can't use D, but B we can use, okay? So on your sheet, you're going to see question 1, okay? And it's got 6 graphs for you and 6 stories. And so what happens is each one of these scenarios is going to be matching these graphs, okay? So if we look here, remember that if we have something really close together, that's going to indicate that something's happening quickly. And the closer together different things are, means that they're happening closer together, okay? Because remember, our x-axis is time. So if I have lots of little bips close together, that means that each event is happening very close to the previous event, okay? So not a lot of time is passing. Whereas these ones, they're kind of more spread out. So that might be something is turned on, and then it turns off, and then a little bit later, someone else turns it back on, okay? So I want you to do question 1, and you're just going to match which one matches with which story, okay?